Hello everybody, I'm back with another deck for you today. This time we're going to be doing some Skellige, and I figured it was time to whack out crach. Bit of a meta deck maybe. Not exactly what people are playing from what I've seen. A lot more bran than crach at the moment, but I think crach's a pretty good leader. I think he can definitely contend there, and this deck is pretty powerful. So what exactly is it? Well, it's just a pretty much value crach deck, playing all of the good cards, things like Horn, things like Professional, Unicorns, the Coral, which of course is very good now, after he got changed on the last patch, and, a lot of thinning, Spores, Deep Bomb, and all the stuff for Coral, makes sense, right? The deck can thin all the way down to one card, which is pretty powerful, of course. You could even add in a Roach, I suppose, if you were that inclined, to be able to thin all the way down, but I think there's enough thinning here to make it work. And apart from that, the deck is of course a crach deck, so it can remove a lot of stuff. You have crach for the pings, you can set up Professional with him as well. You have Harold also to kind of, damage stuff if he survives, and also to set up the Horn. You have a lot of other damage in terms of Donar, Skellige, and the Pirate Captains, as well as Marauder if you count that. So really, you're not going to get as much value as Bran in terms of from the discards, but you're going to find value from the crach pings, and, hopefully from the other cards you're running, you're allowed to run the Witches and stuff like that, because you're not playing Bran where he would normally over-thin with his leader ability. So it's a bit of a trade-off. I think crach is nice because he does allow you to set up the Bloodthirst quite easily, a bit more easily than Bran usually, and that can allow you to get Pirate Captain value, which is of course an amazing card, and Donar as well. And Professional is a lot better with crach. But, Bran is also perfectly viable. I think maybe Skellige's even a little bit overrated, to be perfectly honest. And I know I'll probably get some people going, "Oh, why are you playing crach?" in the comments or whatever. I mean, what else am I going to play for Skellige? I've played everything at this point. I've played Iced, Arnulf, anyway. So yeah, I thought it was time to give this one a go and see how it performs. Let's jump into a game or two and test exactly that. And our first opponent will be Bran, so I guess we're going to test which of the Skellige leaders is better in the mirror. Be a pretty interesting one. Light longships are quite nice to get those captains online, of course, so we can probably keep at least one of those. We do have the Coral, discard targets in hand. We can always get rid of them with Burner if we need to. I think that's okay. We want to discard these guys with Burner, probably. Let's get rid of one longship. I don't think we'll be needing two in this round. We could probably get rid of like a D-bomb. It might end up being dead because Coral isn't in hand right now. And we'll see what we can do here. Bran is quite scary. They got, their Coral's usually going to be a couple of points more than yours at the least. Their Burner as well, so they've got a bit more tempo on some of those plays, but of course you've got your leader, the whole way through the game, and this deck does have more provisions, right? So, in theory, you've got something going for you there. Let's just get rid of one of these skulls. It's going to negate the damage that the Herald will, be able to get for him, and we can play a light longship here, I think, as well. Gotta enable those Pirate Captains at some point this round. If we can't, it's going to be really hard to push. We do have two in hand, of course, so we're going to have to make sure to do that. We do have the Horn as well, so we'll be row stacking front row. You can pretty easily do that whenever you're playing Skellige, all your guys pop out on melee, so you can row stack pretty easily for it, with Harold as well. And already we've got a couple of really good cards from the Bran player. It might even mean they're lippy if they're happy to first card Harold, second card Coral. They might be playing Lippy and want to reshuffle that stuff into deck, but who knows. If not, then we're in a pretty nice position, I think, to, get stuff done. So we could probably play the Witches here.
I'm in no mood to talk.
Thin them out the deck. We can't pass until we're at least 7 cards, so we know we're going to be playing a few more here. We can Spores the Skirmisher as well, to get value on tactical advantage, which isn't too bad. Spores is actually a pretty good 4 provision card, usually. There's a lot of boosted units, especially when you're playing against, like, monsters, right? And they have all the ghouls and whatnot. And D-Shackles is a very low tempo play, which is good for us. And I think that means we can throw out the Spores if we want. We're still going to have Coral targets in the deck. And this card might be dead later on if we don't end up fighting Corals, so I think throwing it out here is good. can start damaging the units and get captains online in a couple of turns, but the opponent's going to pass instead. You know, we now have to choose how we take it. We could go with Burner. I think I like Burner onto Skirmisher. It will give us a bit of a look at the cards we're going to be drawing here as well. And we can probably save Morkvarg for tempo later on. We will get ahead with this Burner simply. So we now have the option to bleed, although I'm not sure we need to do that. In fact, it might have been good to even go double Pirate Captain. Probably wouldn't have worked out very well. So now we do want to find those coral targets, of course. We're going to mulligan, I think. Probably a light longship or a captain. Just one of those kind of, or maybe even both of them. And we do find both the coral targets, so that's very nice. In theory, our long round is pretty good here. Unless it's packing like a Dragon's Dream or something, I think we should be okay. Especially since we already got two of the really good cards from him, the Herald and the Coral. Of course, it's going to be Horn and whatnot. But we should be in a reasonably good position here to win. Got Professional to shut down a big tool unit. We've got our own Horn, and hopefully we can draw into Chironex. Got some powerful discards ready as well. We are not going to get through as much of our deck because we didn't play a couple of cards there, but I don't think that's the end of the world. We don't need to thin all the way down to 0, especially with the hand we have at the moment. You know, Coral's already enabled, Skuld is already enabled, so really we should be fine, I think. As long as we have some mulligans. I'm not even sure we need mulligans though, to be perfectly honest. Let's maybe get rid of a Skirmisher here. We don't want to have a Skirmisher in hand without a Skuld. Get rid of Longship as well. Chironex is beautiful, so I think the rest of the hand we're happy to keep. It's kind of perfect, right? And we'll just see what we draw into. We might get some trash, you know, Marauder and Skirmisher as top decks would be very bad if we don't find a way to get rid of them, but can always get rid of one with Coral if we don't want to discard Spores. That will at least find a few points, I imagine, in round 3. But we can pretty easily get that Horn off. We can maybe try to deny theirs as well with the Crack Pings, the Geralt, the Coral, and all the damage that we have. We'll see if we're able to, stop that from happening. Might be difficult, but we'll wait and see. So, I mean, we can probably just throw out Harold if we're pretty happy to, start damaging his guys if he ends up killing the skulls. At the same time, I don't think we need to do that. We could also go with, like, a Skuld or whatever. But I kind of like Harold here. I think it's a perfectly reasonable play. We might lose a little bit of value if all the skulls die and this dies, but I don't think that's worth even thinking about, really. It could be okay here. Got a lot of power plays, and the opponent has used a couple of theirs, whereas we haven't really. So that's kind of where you're trying to shine as Crach. Also, we didn't have a round 2 where, Bran finds value from his leader, so in theory, everything has kind of gone right for us here. We could just play Coral, I suppose. There's not really any reason not to in this situation, unless we're saving it for some reason. We could wait until there's more units, so it's less likely we kill off the damaged units, I suppose. In which case, probably playing Skuld is a good idea. Let's do that then. And we will get Marauder, which is a very bad card here, so I mean, it could hit our skulls, I suppose, and not be terrible, but ideally we're going to discard that if we find, something that can make that work. And, we have one more Skuld in the deck. It's possible that we brick here, a little bit awkward. That can happen if you don't, play your Marauder for just points in round 2 or 1 or whatever. Sometimes you won't find it, potentially. Oh, opponent losing connection. Whoa. So I think we can go for the Coral now, maybe. We could also wait on it. There's kind of no reason not to. Unless we just, I mean, it's probably fine to get rid of it here. We want to have a look at what our deck is, whether we want to play Marauder or not. Pretty important. I think we'll get rid of Spores. It's just worth it because we get the damage, even if we have to play Marauder for a 2-point, which it does look like we'll have to. Then it's probably better to do it this way. We can also just play it and hope it hits the right stuff. Bit risky to do that. 2-point play though is very bad, but we are ahead at the moment, remember, by quite a bit, due to those couple of tempo plays that we had. I think it's probably worth taking the risk here with the Marauder. We could play Captain first. if we desired to do that. Maybe damage the Ifrit. Kind of don't see a reason not to. I guess there's enough targets here on his side of the board, and yeah, this should be fine most of the time, I think. Not ideal. Okay, it was like 2 points, right? Or even less because we hit that. Whatever. That's our one bad play out of the hand, so I think we'll be okay from now on, hopefully. We can start removing units as well at this point from the opponent, right? You know, kill that burner, kill that Skuld afterwards with crach, and really try to deny Horn. I think we'll be in good shape if we can do that. And it might be possible because we have Professional and Skellige and Kyrenex all in hand as well. So we can remove 2 units here, maybe another one next turn, and they might try to do the same thing with their own damage, but hopefully we'll come out on top there. So even playing a really bad card, I think we're probably alright here. Just the crach alone is worth a lot more, you know, points than his Bran ability, kind of. So should be okay, I think. We'll see though, we'll see. Jenge is a really nice professional target, but let's go ahead and make sure we get the Pirate Captain value. It will allow us to start killing off the lower strength guys here with the crach, and make sure we deny Horn as much as possible, because that'll be a pretty big factor here as to who wins, who gets a better Horn, you know, to some extent. That does look like they have Harold though, and that's gonna, you know, prevent us from preventing the Horn, as it were. Go ahead and kill Harold then, just to make sure he can't kill the skulls. So we are a little bit behind right now. We get a couple more points with crach, but we are a couple of points behind, so we're going to need to get ahead somehow. Professional's a nice play. Unicorn Kyrenex are very good if they don't get answered. And he might have a dead kind of card, like, who knows, Yerden, Spores, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's very possible he has, you know, more coral targets in hand. Also not that likely, who knows. These guys' decks are pretty refined usually. Ulfheden's pretty bad, so 6-point play. We're definitely trading up on that. I think we probably want a Horn here, actually. And the reasoning for that is that we might get more professional value on the Jenge if he Horns, right? We'll be able to deal an extra bit of damage there. So yeah, I think Horn's probably fine. It gets a little bit punished by Yerden, but honestly it's not even that bad for us if he has it, to be quite honest with you. Let's go ahead and hit Morkvarg then. I think we'll regret that in any way. We want to keep our Unicorn Kyrenex, if possible, to deal with his, presuming they have them. If they do have those and Horn, which they do it looks like, then we will be able to get some nice value here, I think. So we can play our Kyrenex now to deny the Unicorn, of course. They'll probably play their Kyrenex to, you know, deny our Kyrenex, and then we'll go with the Unicorn and finish with Professional, hopefully, onto one of these guys. It looks like that's what's going to be happening after they play a Horn. And we can save our crach ping for the last play, in case we want to, you know, set up a Professional or whatever. Horn is pretty good here, but we're already 6-7 points ahead, so, you know, I'm not sure it'll be enough, especially since he has to hit the Jenge with it, so it's kind of only 12 points. I haven't done the exact maths, but I'm pretty sure we're fine here. Yeah, we're okay. Going to be able to kill that Jenge, finding some really nice value from Professional and taking it by a few points. Pretty close, but mostly because we had that dead Marauder there, which really wasn't doing a lot. So yeah, just shows that crach can definitely pull out wins against Bran. Let's jump into another one and see if we can do that again. This time it's going to be an Eldane, so a bit of a different opponent. Bran is considered pretty high tier at the moment, although I would think it's a little bit overrated maybe, and Eldane obviously the opposite, so let's see if we can take him down. Might be tricky actually, but okay, we'll get rid of a Witcher here, of course. You know, this Marauder's probably going to be dead. D-Bomb's actually quite strong against the artifacts that Eldane plays, so we'll probably hold on to that. We'll get rid of the Marauder then, because it's not great now. And maybe a Skuld as well. Okay, Skirmisher's definitely a good pickup. I think we can start with that light longship, of course. Make sure we can set up Bloodthirst when the opponent plays some units. And going to be quite important to win round 1 against this guy if we are able to. That is a summoning circle which we can deal with D-bomb if we want to. Yeah, we only have 1 artifact removal, so I'd kind of love to keep that for later in the game if possible, but at the same time, it'll definitely help us push this round here if we're able to, you know, remove that. So I think we go for it. And honestly, you know, if we're winning this round, we can push him round 2 and then deny the value from the traps, hopefully. We'll see if that ends up actually being the case. So I assume that's an incinerating trap. We can probably just play the Witcher here, Lambert, and it won't really matter that, you know, they played that. It'll do the damage, of course, after the deploy. That's the difference between incinerating and Pitfall. It doesn't really ever stop your opponent's ability going off, which kind of why it's not a great trap, or not a great card in general. But he is not playing units, which of course is making our crach a little bit weaker, and our longship as well. Those are going to be some targets though, so definitely damage them up. And I think playing Skellige here is also good. I'm going to try not to row stack too much, because of course the opponent might have crushing traps. In fact, they probably almost certainly have them. Whether or not they play them this round is another question, but Coral doesn't have any spells to hit right now. We've got spores in the deck for later, but it might just be worth, honestly, to you know, discard that skirmisher. You can think of her like a burner sometimes, and you don't even have to use both discards if it's not worthwhile. But here, let's play that captain, get that out the hand. I want to make sure you get the value from those guys, but it's really easy to when you're running longships and crach. That's kind of the great thing about playing crach. You can play some of the really good low provision cards, like Pirate Captain, as well as the good high provision cards like Professional and Horn and whatnot. Okay, that's going to be Called Forest. Not too shabby, but we can deal with this very nicely with a donut into crach ping, so I think we're going to go for that. Just going to really try to push this round hard and make sure this Eldain player can't win it, so that we can then try to bleed the traps from him a little bit. That's the idea anyway. Don't want to go to a long round against Eldain with the crushing traps and everything. It can get a little bit scary, but I think this might even be our pass. This crushing trap really isn't going to be worth many points, if it is a crushing trap. They can, of course, use Eldain to kind of flip him over, but I don't really want to commit any more of these cards. They're quite good plays. Yeah, I think this is fine. It might even be an incinerating trap if he's just trying to play bad cards. I think it's probably crushing, but it's not very many points, so there's going to have to be a Novellen and Eldain charge to take it. Fair enough. And that's not even enough, so really bad news for Eldain. I was thinking, wait a minute, is this enough points? But no, he's going to go 2 down. So we're going to have card advantage for the rest of the game here, and we got Novellen and a crushing trap and an Eldain charge from him. So we've basically got a lot of the, you know, synergies that Eldain is often fighting for. We've got them from the opponent. Let's get rid of a Skuld. I don't think we need that right now. Spores is good with Coral. We'll probably keep the rest. I want to play that Marauder if the opponent pushes this round, or if they drag past, we can also play it. I doubt they'll push here, but it's possible, I guess. Anything's possible against Eldain. But that's kind of the problem with this leader. He just kind of lacks big tempo plays at the moment. People have been saying, oh, you know, it's going to be fine the expansion because Squirtel's getting more tempo plays like the Great Oak, for example, which is probably true. Let's kill this. Deny a bit of Yerden value or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But that's going to be the pass from the opponent. So we could play lots of things here. I think Burner's probably just fine just to get a bit of a grip of, you know, what our hand is looking like for round 3. And it turns out we have to discard some pretty good cards in the Spores and the Skirmisher here, because the rest of our hand is really good. I mean, to an extent, Skellige and Kyrenex might be bad if the opponent doesn't play many units in round 3, which they tend not to. Maybe I should have even tried to get ahead of that play with a Burner. That would have been kind of soul-crushing for him if we had got ahead there. Let's mulligan a card or 2 here. Skuld we can probably throw away, I think. Don't really need that. Our deck is like Spores, Longship, and whatever else. Professional, right? So we pretty much don't need a Skuld at this point. We know we're definitely discarding the Morkvarg with Coral. It's a bit of a weird interaction for sure, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. Let's play that Longship first, I think. So if we get the Skuld with Coral, that would kind of suck, of course, but there's a lot of good stuff we can get. Like, we don't even need to use the second charge, of course, if we don't find Spore, so, you know, Professional would be lovely to see. And I wonder what that is. I imagine it's probably... I mean, it might be a Pitfall Trap. I'm a little bit scared of it, to be honest. I don't want to play my Coral in case it is a Pitfall Trap. It could be a Horn, that's maybe more likely, but it could also be Pitfall Trap. If it's Pitfall Trap, we should play Morkvarg here for sure. That's a bit scary, honestly. We could just also drop Skellige. God, what a hard read to make. We have to kind of 50-50 it. Do we think it's a Pitfall or not? Usually they don't play it, so I'm going to say no, it's not a Pitfall. Okay, nice. That's very, very scary stuff. Okay, we've got the Spores in hand. Honestly, I could just discard it now, and I think I will. Losing a bit of damage, but I think that's okay. I really don't want that in my hand. So we're going to play it safe here and, you know, try not to take any risks. In that sense. So that is a Horn, I presume. It could also be an Incinerating Trap. Honestly, playing Morkvarg there was probably a bit safer, but I just had a feeling it was Horn. Usually people are just playing it too, like, you know, very straightforward with the traps. Like, okay, I'll play my Horn first, and then I will play Pitfall at the end of the round, or whatever it might be. That is a lot more likely to be a Pitfall or an Incinerating Trap now. Now, if it is an Incinerating Trap, we can definitely go ahead and Herald without too much problem, because the skulls will still spawn. If it is something else, though, we're going to be in trouble. If it's a Pitfall, we're going to be feeling pretty bad. Do we go for it? I think we just go for it. Okay, nice. So it's actually probably a Crushing Trap, I guess. Or a Serpent Trap, maybe, to deny Horn. That could be kind of nasty, actually, if they've got that. But at least we've got the Herald down. That's nice. It gives us some protection from Crushing Trap. You know. And we want to make sure we don't give... Okay, it is a Crushing Trap. Interesting. Alright, well that's actually quite good news for us. Even though we missed out on the damage, they only procced it for one, you know, one damage on the row. And we don't have to worry about that towards the end of the round now. Which is pretty good news. Mullane, alright. I think we can just go with a Skellige here. Nothing too crazy. Actually, maybe Chironex is a bit safer, to be honest. I'm going to go with Chironex. Reason for that is Chironex can only damage unit, like it can damage your own units. Skellige can't, so if we ever have to drop Skellige when he doesn't have units, then it's going to be a lot safer than dropping a Chironex. Or, you know, being forced to do that. But we also aren't running into Serpent Trap, it looks like, and he's in fact giving us a pretty nice stacked row, which feels quite good. Let's go ahead and get that Unicorn value before Pitfall Trap comes down and whatnot. We're going to save Pirate Captain for the end of the round if possible, and we'll damage that, of course, to try to get some Captain value, although probably it will be, you know, a dead card. Eldain can definitely get a few points here with his leader abilities, so he's not out of it yet. We are pretty far ahead in points. I think if we get this Horn value, there's not really, you know, much the opponent's going to be able to do. Okay, interesting. They're actually going to pop out an elf. Not really sure about that. Okay, maybe they just were scared of me removing their units or something. Let's go and slam a Skellige down here so we can get that Horn. And if it's Pitfall Eorveth or something, we're going to kind of nicely counter that. That's the last couple of plays. Okay, just going to be a normal Eorveth, right? Makes sense. So we can Horn now for sure. Just to make sure we don't lose any units here, that would be kind of very bad for us. And we'll damage a Deadeye so we can get Pirate Captain value if it does. You know, stick around. I could have saved the crach for the end actually, that was maybe a misplay, technically. But I think we're okay here, guys. But yeah, I should have saved the crach for the end, that would have made sure we could get Pirate Captain value. A little bit of a misstep there, but doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Eldain isn't able to use all his charges. It's a bit awkward sometimes. But that was closer than I expected, to be honestly. Valiant effort from the Eldain player. Either way, that was a bit of crach. Pretty powerful deck. If you're looking for Skellige stuff to rank up with, then crach is definitely a viable way to go if you're not feeling like bran. Coral and all of the horn nonsense is very good in, you know, whatever kind of Skellige deck you choose to play, pretty much. With that being said, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Subscribe if you'd like more videos, and I'll see you next time.